Have you ever felt a chill that doesn't come from the weather? A silence so heavy it presses on your chest. Across the US, there are places where locals won't go after dark. Towns and homes abandoned under mysterious or tragic circumstances. Walking through them feels like stepping into someone else's nightmare, where every shadow, creak, and whisper tells a story you're not meant to understand. Tonight, I'm taking you to 12 of the creepiest places in America, if you dare. If you're enjoying this journey into America's creepiest places, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Traveling Guide Hub for more spine-chilling adventures and hidden destinations. Number 1. Dudleytown, Connecticut, United States. Some call it America's most haunted ghost town, but the forest seems to disagree. In Connecticut, there's a town that vanished, and locals say the land never let them leave. Dudleytown was settled in the early 18th century by the Dudley family, who dreamed of a thriving farming community in Cornwall's dense forests. At first, the land seemed perfect: fertile soil, clear streams, abundant timber. But crops failed mysteriously. Livestock died without reason. Winters were harsher here than anywhere else. Families left one by one, leaving behind cabins, barns, and overgrown fields. By the late 1800s, the town was abandoned, officially for economic hardship. Yet locals whispered there was something about the land itself wrong. Imagine walking along the dirt paths today. The forest swallows the sunlight. Shadows cling to the ruins, and the air feels heavier with every step. Visitors speak of whispers, sudden chills, and an unshakable feeling of being watched. Some hear footsteps echo where no one else is around. Others glimpse figures slipping between the trees, vanishing the moment they blink. One hiker described standing in a clearing, sensing the forest breathe around him, each tree a silent witness to decades of emptiness. No one stays here long, not without feeling it, watching you. Even skeptics leave Dudleytown uneasy, their minds full of questions the forest refuses to answer. Some say that anyone who lingers too long never leaves unchanged. Would you dare to step onto these overgrown paths, to feel the chill that seeps into your bones, to hear whispers that seem almost alive? Dudleytown is more than history. It's a force, silent but patient, waiting for anyone curious enough to enter. If the land itself could choose, would it let you leave? And remember, this is only the beginning. There are places far darker where the forest hides secrets even locals fear to speak.
2. Centralia, Pennsylvania, United States. Some call it a town swallowed by smoke, but the fire beneath never quits. In Pennsylvania, there's a place where the streets are empty and the ground itself seems alive with heat. This is Centralia. Founded in the mid-19th century as a coal mining town, Centralia thrived for decades. Miners and their families built homes, schools, and businesses along its quiet streets. Life was hard, but the town had a rhythm, a sense of community forged underground as much as above it. Then, in 1962, a small mine fire ignited beneath the town, a fire that would never stop. A fire burns endlessly beneath the earth, invisible but unstoppable, claiming the town inch by inch. Smoke seeped into basements, sinkholes opened in roads, and dangerous gases made homes unlivable. By the 1980s, most residents were relocated and the town was condemned. Today, only a few buildings and empty streets remain, but the fire continues, a silent force shaping the land. Walking through Centralia, the heat radiates from cracked asphalt. The air smells faintly of sulfur. Wisps of smoke rise from unexpected places. The ground trembles underfoot. Sudden bursts of heat leap from cracks. Silence is broken only by the hiss of steam. Visitors report shadows moving where no one should be. Some feel an invisible pull, as if the town itself is guiding them out faster than any warning sign. One photographer captured a deserted street, only to notice a shadow crossing the frame later, a shadow that wasn't there before. No one lingers in Centralia long, not without sensing the town itself staring at you. Even the bravest leave uneasy, their minds filled with questions the town refuses to answer. Centralia warns of what lies beneath, but some places are even darker, and some who enter never return the same.
3. Stull Cemetery, Kansas, United States. Some say it's one of the most cursed cemeteries in America, and locals won't even drive by after dark. Deep in Kansas, there's a graveyard that has terrified generations. This is Stull Cemetery. Stull began as a quiet 19th century farming community. The cemetery was ordinary, a place for loved ones to rest. But over time, strange stories emerged. Unexplained lights flickered among the stones. Sudden chills ran through the air. Legends claimed the devil himself appeared here, using the cemetery as a gateway between worlds. While much is folklore, the eerie history of Stull makes the stories feel real. Over decades, the town faded, leaving the cemetery isolated, overgrown, and largely untouched. Walking through Stull today, the silence hits first. Grass grows tall, twisting around old tombstones. The ground trembles underfoot. Sudden heavy chills make the skin crawl, a feeling that unseen eyes watch from every shadow. Visitors report black shapes darting between stones, gone before they can blink. Some hear whispers in languages they don't know, surrounding them, yet coming from nowhere. One explorer remembered sensing the air thicken, as if the cemetery itself was warning them to leave. Even the bravest feel a weight pressing down, a dread deeper than fear itself. No one stays in Stull long, not without sensing the cemetery resisting their presence. Locals avoid the roads at night, whispering that some secrets are better left undisturbed. Would you dare to step among these weathered stones, to feel the shadows move just beyond your sight? Stull Cemetery is only a taste of the darkness hiding in America's heartland, and some say what follows in its footsteps is far worse.
4. Gary, Indiana, United States. Some call it a city frozen in decay, and walking its empty streets feels like stepping into another world. Deep in Indiana, Gary was once alive with the roar of steel mills and the chatter of families dreaming of a better life. Today, it is silence, shadows, and a weight that settles in your chest. Founded in 1906 by the United States Steel Corporation, Gary thrived for decades. The mills shaped its skyline, neighborhoods buzzed with activity, children played in the streets, and families built lives around the promise of work. But as the steel industry declined in the late 20th century, the city's fortunes collapsed. Jobs disappeared, homes were abandoned, schools and shops fell silent. Over time, Gary became a place both empty and unsettling, where the city itself seems to watch anyone who dares to enter. Walking through Gary now, cracked roads stretch past empty schools, boarded-up shops, and skeletal houses. Silence hangs thick in the air, almost touchable. Visitors report faint echoes of footsteps inside deserted buildings. Shadows seem to move in abandoned storefronts, disappearing the moment you look. One photographer captured a deserted street only to notice a figure in a window that wasn't there before. Another visitor described sudden chills, as if the city itself was aware of their presence. No one wanders Gary alone for long, not without sensing the city itself observing every step. Even the bravest leave uneasy, their minds filled with questions the streets refuse to answer. Gary is only one example of a city abandoned not by chance, but by forces beyond most understanding. Some say there are places even darker, where history never lets go.
5. Pitcher, Oklahoma, United States. Some call it the town that poisoned itself, and walking its empty streets feels like stepping into a grave. Pitcher, Oklahoma was once alive with the clang of mining and the laughter of children playing among neat rows of houses. Today, it is silence, rust, and a weight that presses on every step. Founded in the early 20th century as part of the Tri-State Mining District, Pitcher thrived on lead and zinc. Families flocked to the area, mills and smelters lined the skyline, and life seemed full of promise. But decades of mining left a deadly legacy: unstable soil, poisoned water, and toxic dust. By the 1970s, health problems surged: birth defects, cancer, chronic illness. In the 1990s, the federal government declared the town uninhabitable and ordered mass evacuations. Streets and schools were abandoned, homes fell into decay. The town slowly crumbled under the weight of its own history. Walking through Pitcher now, the air feels thick and heavy. Rusted pipes, broken windows, decaying homes line the streets. Visitors report sudden nausea or headaches, sometimes even dizziness, as if the town itself is warning them to leave. Faint metallic groans echo beneath the ground. Shadows flick through empty windows. Some claim to see fleeting figures among the ruins or hear footsteps where no one walks. One photographer captured an abandoned schoolyard only to notice a small figure standing silently on the playground, gone by the time he blinked. Even the bravest feel the oppressive weight of a place that refuses to forget its past. No one lingers in Pitcher long, not without sensing the town itself urging them away. Would you dare to step onto streets haunted by both history and unseen presence? Pitcher is only one warning among many. Some towns hide secrets far darker than the mines that killed them. 6. Slab City, California, United States. Some call it the last free place in America, but stepping into Slab City feels like leaving the world behind. In the California desert, abandoned concrete slabs stretch for miles, home to wanderers, artists, and stories that chill the spine. Slab City began as a World War II Marine Corps training camp, Camp Dunlap. When the war ended, the base was abandoned, leaving only concrete foundations. Over the decades, people seeking freedom, solitude, or a fresh start moved in. They built makeshift homes, art installations, and a community unlike anywhere else. But isolation comes at a price. Without law or structure, the area gained a reputation for eerie happenings, sudden shadows, strange noises at night, and the feeling that the desert itself watches anyone who dares to linger too long. Walking through Slab City, the heat presses down by day and the chill of the desert seeps in at night. Rusted vehicles, abandoned trailers, graffiti-covered slabs litter the landscape. Visitors report hearing footsteps crunching on sand when no one else is around. Others feel the gaze of invisible eyes tracking their every movement. One photographer captured Salvation Mountain only to notice dark figures lingering in the corners of the frame, gone when he looked up. Some swear the shadows here move differently, watching, waiting, never still. At night, whispers float across the slabs carried by the wind, though no one is there to speak. Laughter echoes sometimes, chilling in its familiarity. No one stays in Slab City long without sensing its strange rhythm, the land alive, patient, and watchful. Even those seeking solitude leave uneasy, haunted by shadows that might be human or something else. Would you dare to wander among these concrete ghosts where freedom meets the uncanny and the desert refuses to forget? Slab City is only one stop on America's hidden map of the strange, and some places are colder, darker, and utterly silent. 7. Salton Sea, California, United States. Some call it California's cursed lake, and standing on its shores feels like staring into a forgotten world. The Salton Sea, created by accident in 1905 when the Colorado River flooded a desert basin, was once a thriving resort destination. For decades, vacationers came for boating, fishing, and lakeside fun, but the water's high salinity and agricultural runoff turned paradise into a nightmare. Fish died in massive numbers, resorts crumbled, and towns emptied. Over time, the Salton Sea became a landscape of decay, its abandoned buildings standing as silent witnesses to lives lost and dreams broken. Walking along the shore today, the air is thick and salty. Bleached fish skeletons litter the sand. Decaying docks lean into the water. Visitors report sudden chills and the strange smell of rot carried by the wind. Some see shapes moving along abandoned buildings. Figures vanish the moment you approach. Footsteps echo in empty resorts. Doors creak though no one is there. One photographer captured a deserted pier only to notice a dark shape at its end, gone when he blinked. Sometimes the water ripples with no wind, as if unseen hands disturb its surface. Locals speak of a heavy, uneasy feeling settling on anyone who lingers too long, as if the lake remembers the lives it consumed. No one stays on the Salton Sea's shores long, not without sensing the water and land themselves watching, waiting. Even those drawn to its strange beauty leave uneasy, haunted by decay that never rests. Would you dare to walk along these ghostly shores, listening to the whispers of a lake that swallowed a town? The Salton Sea is only one chapter in America's hidden map of haunted and abandoned places, and some waters are darker, colder, and unforgiving. 8. Skidmore, Missouri, United States. Some call it Missouri's town of vanished lives, and walking its quiet streets feels like stepping into a forgotten nightmare. The tension here is palpable, the silence almost alive. Skidmore was once a small, tight-knit farming town. Life was ordinary, peaceful, unremarkable. But in 1981, everything changed. Ken McElroy, a man feared by locals, was shot in broad daylight in front of dozens of witnesses, and no one came forward to identify the killer. For years, he had terrorized the town. After his death, families slowly moved away, businesses shuttered, and the town's pulse seemed to fade. Over time, Skidmore became nearly abandoned, a place where history, fear, and silence intertwine. Walking through the town today, old houses sag under the weight of years. Rusted vehicles sit abandoned in yards. One photographer snapped a shot of the old schoolhouse. Later, he noticed a dark figure in the doorway, gone the moment he turned around. Visitors report sudden chills crawling up their spine. Footsteps echo down deserted streets, though no one is there. Some feel eyes watching from the shadows of broken windows, a presence patient, relentless, and unseen. Some say McElroy's shadow lingers, not just in memory, but in the corners of the town itself, a reminder that terror leaves more than scars. No one lingers in Skidmore long, not without sensing the history pressing down, the weight of past violence in every corner. Even the bravest leave uneasy, haunted by echoes that refuse to fade. Would you dare to walk these empty streets where history and haunting blur into one? Skidmore is only one warning among many hidden across America, and some towns hold shadows far darker.
9. Nome, Alaska, United States. Some call it Alaska's forgotten frontier. Stepping into Nome feels like entering a land abandoned by time. The remoteness is immediate, the stillness almost alive, pressing against anyone who dares to walk its frost-covered paths. Nome began as a small mining town during Alaska's gold rush. For a short while, it thrived, attracting miners seeking fortune. But harsh winters, isolation, and dwindling resources made life brutal. By the mid-20th century, the last residents had left, leaving empty cabins, rusted equipment, and streets that winter quickly claimed. The town's emptiness gave it a reputation, a place where the living and the forgotten brush shoulders, and where the wilderness itself seems to hold its breath. Walking through Nome today, abandoned cabins lean into the wind, their windows like hollow eyes. The crunch of footsteps on frost-covered paths echoes far too loudly. Visitors report sudden gusts of icy air that seem to follow them even when the day is still. Some see fleeting shadows darting between the trees, figures that vanish before they can be identified. Others feel a presence pressing from the edges of their vision, patient, lingering, strangely human, yet not. Sometimes the wind seems to carry whispers of those who once called this place home. One photographer snapped a shot of an old mining shack, only to notice a dark shape at its threshold, gone when he looked again. No one lingers in Nome long, not without sensing the weight of isolation pressing down, the cold reaching past the skin into the bones, and the haunting stillness that seems almost alive. Even the bravest leave uneasy, reminded that some places are meant to be forgotten. Would you dare to walk these frozen streets where silence carries memory and the trees seem to watch? Nome is only one corner of America's abandoned frontiers, and some places hide shadows far colder, darker, and more patient.
Number 10. McCarthy, Alaska, United States. Some call it Alaska's town trapped in time. Stepping into McCarthy feels like walking through a memory no one was meant to remember. The remoteness hits immediately, the stillness almost alive, pressing against anyone who dares to wander its frost-covered streets. McCarthy began as a copper mining hub during Alaska's early 20th century boom. Miners and their families built homes, schools, and a community amid harsh winters and rugged terrain. But the mines closed and residents gradually left, leaving the town to snow, wind, and decay. Streets were swallowed by the elements, the town itself seeming to hold its breath. Empty cabins lean at odd angles, windows like dark eyes staring, and rusted mining equipment litters the ground. Walking through McCarthy today, the crunch of footsteps on frozen streets echoes unnaturally. Visitors report sudden chills, icy gusts moving against the wind, and the sense of being followed. Some see shadows flicker across old mining structures. Figures vanish the moment you approach. Others feel the weight of lives once lived pressing from the corners of every building. You can almost hear the laughter, the footsteps, the labor of lives long gone, echoes that cling to the timber and stone. Sometimes the wind carries faint murmurs, like voices recalling days no one remembers. No one lingers in McCarthy long, not without sensing the cold reaching past skin into bone, the heavy presence of history, and the lingering life of a town abandoned yet not quite gone. Even those drawn by curiosity leave unsettled, reminded that some places were never meant to be fully inhabited or fully understood. Would you dare to walk these deserted streets, feeling the memory of lives pressing close? McCarthy is only one of Alaska's hidden corners, and some places are darker, colder, and more relentless than this. 11. Love Canal, Niagara Falls, New York, United States.
Some call it America's town poisoned from within. Stepping into Love Canal feels like walking through a place the earth itself tried to bury. The tension is immediate, the air thick with stories the soil cannot forget. Love Canal began in the 1990s as a neighborhood along a man-made canal in Niagara Falls, New York. Families built homes, schools, and dreams. But beneath the surface, the canal became a dumping ground for industrial chemicals. Decades later, toxins seeped into yards, streets, and houses. By the late 1970s, the government evacuated families, leaving behind empty streets and abandoned homes. The horror here isn't a tale of ghosts, it's human-made, a scar on the land itself. Walking through Love Canal today, rusted playgrounds and cracked roads stretch past overgrown yards. Visitors report sudden headaches and nausea. A heaviness presses down as if the ground itself remembers the tragedy. Some see shadows flicker in the fog or dark shapes in windows, gone the moment they look again. Sometimes a faint ripple moves across the canal, though no wind stirs it. Others feel an oppressive tension pressing down, a reminder that the land carries the memory of every life uprooted, every home lost. No one lingers in Love Canal long, not without sensing the weight of the past pressing into the present and the quiet that screams louder than any sound. Even those drawn by curiosity leave unsettled, realizing some places are haunted not by spirits, but by human actions and the scars they leave behind. Would you dare to walk these deserted streets, knowing the ground beneath you hides secrets that poisoned generations? Love Canal is only one warning among America's cursed locations, and some places are darker, deadlier, and more relentless than this.
12. Villisca Axe Murder House, Villisca, Iowa, United States. Some call it Iowa's house of unspeakable horror. Stepping into the Villisca Axe Murder House feels like entering a nightmare frozen in time. Even today, its walls seem to whisper secrets too dark for daylight. The house was built in 1910 as a modest family home. In June 1912, tragedy struck. 8 people, including 6 children, were brutally murdered with an axe while they slept. The crime shocked the nation. Despite countless investigations, the killer was never caught. Over the decades, the house changed owners, but each reported strange occurrences, doors swinging open on their own, footsteps echoing in empty rooms, and a heavy feeling of sorrow pressing down on anyone who entered. The story of Villisca isn't just folklore. It's the chilling echo of real lives lost in the prime of their innocence. Walking through the house today, shadows stretch unnaturally along the walls. Visitors report sudden cold spots, whispers just beyond comprehension, the sensation of being watched from every corner. Floorboards creak underfoot, though no one walks there. Faint figures appear in photographs, gone the moment they are reviewed frame by frame. Sometimes a rocking chair shifts slightly on its own, or a light flickers in an empty room. The air feels thick, almost tangible, as if the tragedy itself lingers, refusing to leave. No one lingers long in the Villisca Axe Murder House, not without sensing the weight of grief, anger, and unanswered questions pressing into the air. Even the bravest leave shaken, reminded that some places carry more than memory. They carry a presence. Would you dare to step inside a house where time stopped at the moment of horror, where every creak, shadow, and whisper feels alive with the lives that ended too soon? The Villisca Axe Murder House is only one of America's darkest places, and some houses hide truths far more relentless and chilling than this. These 12 places are not just points on a map, they're echoes of the past, warnings whispered through abandoned streets, forests, and homes. Some are haunted by tragedy, others by the land itself, but all leave an impression that lingers long after you leave. Visiting them is not about thrill, it's about confronting stories that refuse to be forgotten. Every shadow, every creak, every whisper reminds us that history is alive, sometimes in ways we can't explain. Which of these places would you dare to explore, and which would you turn away from forever?